Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. And by Shewart & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.
From Mansurs on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Riegel. It's business Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. There's an old saying about how if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Teaching skills and imparting knowledge are perhaps the greatest gifts and tools we can give to the young and the young at heart who are always hungry to learn. And local entrepreneurs are coming up with creative ways to turn the act of teaching and educating into small businesses with limitless potential. Meet my first guest today, Jacques Hopkins, an electrical engineer by training whose desire to be an online entrepreneur led him 5 years ago to walk away from his day job and create a local company that promises to teach even the most tone-deaf students how to play the piano in just 3 weeks. Jacques' company, pianoin21days.com, is an entirely online tutorial that takes everything you learn in traditional piano lessons and throws it out the window. Jacques' lessons are unique in that they're fast, fun, and require no classical training. And this might seem very remarkable, not in the least, because Jacques, by his own admissions, took piano lessons as a child growing up in New Orleans for 12 years and can only play 2 songs. Like, I can totally relate to this, okay? But his small company is doing well enough, having sold more than 1,500 lesson plans to date to support him and his family. So, Jacques, really great story. Can't wait to hear what your secret is.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Joining me and Jacques at the table is Stephanie Crawford, founder and owner of Best in Class Tutoring, a private tutoring service that helps students with whatever their learning needs, but particularly specializes in test prep for the ACT and the SAT. Stephanie founded the company in 2014 after spending 5 years in the classroom and then another 6 years at the LSU Academic Center for Student Athletes, where she mentored and tutored student athletes, hired and trained their tutors, and ran hundreds of appointments a week, and probably with some of the toughest students at that wonderful institution. Yeah. She branched out on her own after getting married and having children, and today she and her staff tutor hundreds of students a year. She also travels the country giving professional development seminars and teaching ACT and SAT prep classes. Want to hear your secrets too, Stephanie. Thanks for being here on Out to Lunch.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, Jacques, we'll start with you, and because there's so many cool things about your story, but the one that strikes me first is that you didn't have a burning desire to be a music teacher per se, but rather an online entrepreneur, and you'd spent a lot of time thinking about this and couldn't come up with a way to do it, and so you sat down at the piano and...
Yeah, so I was trying a lot of different businesses, and what's interesting is I would procrastinate a lot on what I thought I was supposed to be doing when I'd come home from work, and my wife would be, doing her thing, and I felt like I should be working on a business, but instead I'd be playing my piano just as a way to relax and something to do that wasn't what I thought I should be doing. But it just clicked one day that, hey, maybe this is what I should focus my business on. And I really, really, really hated my piano lessons growing up. My parents put me in them like a lot of parents do. And I never practiced. I didn't get very far, but I stuck with it for a very long time. But because I kind of have like an engineer brain, math mind, I kind of broke it down and figured out a different way to learn how to play. It's very, very formula based, and I realized that there's probably a market for this way of playing. And so that's how the business was born.
That is so cool. So how did you get started? I mean, how did you devise an online tutorial? And
it was about 5 years ago, and I just did some Googling, did some research, figured out how to do like a password-protected site, upload videos, and put a curriculum together, and then had to figure out how to market it. Once you build something, it's not like all of a sudden people are going to go and flood it and buy it. So I had to figure out how to market it, started a YouTube channel, started advertising, and went from there.
Well, you make it sound so simple. All right, we're going to get the
Right.
details. Stephanie, you mean your story is similar in that you decided to go out on your own and
I
take
did.
your knowledge of teaching and turn that into a business.
I did. I was in the classroom, for 5 years. It was kind of a roundabout, long journey to get to the classroom, and so when I got there, I fell in love with, teaching. But then I had a great mentor at the school I was in, and she said, Stephanie, we have a couple of students who need some more one-on-one help. Would you be interested in helping them? And, they had some challenges socially, academically, and that's truly where I found my passion, was working with those types of students. And so I knew that's the area I wanted to focus on. And so that's why I left the classroom and went to LSU.
Okay.
Actually had started doing this on the side, but was recruited by LSU to come in and be assistant to the tutorial coordinator, which eventually I took the program over. But then kind of got back to my roots again, kind of where I started and where my passion was with the teaching. And I love my time at LSU. And started best in class, and so that I could get that one-on-one. And so that is really the basis of, starting this, was because there are a lot of kids out there who need that more specialized one-on-one help. They're brilliant, kids that just need some confidence building and skill building. And I was doing that. And then I had so many clients asking me about ACT prep and
Right,
SAT
that's
prep.
a huge thing.
It is. And I joked because I said when I walked out of taking the test in 1994, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm never going to have to take that test again. And now that's what I do every day of my life. We've worked with hundreds of students. We've been able to help kids, actualize
So, there's just
their
a
dreams.
formula for teaching somebody how to do well, or at least
There really
better
is.
than they
There
could
really
on
is.
these tests.
And I really like what Jacques said, because I really think anything is just a formula. That's what I try to explain, because I'm a writer by trade. So I graduated in writing from LSU, creative writing actually, but I really liked research writing, and had they had that, I probably would have graduated in it. But writing is just formula. Test taking is just formula.
Right.
And I think anything, if you can look at it that way and plug, that in, kids, it just makes sense.
Well, speaking of formulas, Jacques, what is the formula to teaching someone to play the piano online?
Well, I can't give away all my secrets for free.
21 days, can you really, how far can you get in 21 days? Mary Had a Little Lamb, or can you really sit down and play something with some chords and harmony to...
Yeah, so there's a couple of factors on why what I have is unique, and one is that it's simply online, and then the other factor is the training itself, because piano in 21 days, that sounds impossible, too good to be true, right?
Right.
I feel like I'm serving a market that was extremely underserved, in that it's mostly adults, right? And adults typically don't have time to learn piano, at least the traditional ways, because it's once a week lessons, you've got to practice. We typically have jobs, families.
You have to drive there.
You got to drive there.
Traffic is
Absolutely.
not fun.
And the other thing is, traditional lessons aren't meant for everybody, because you can go take lessons for a year before you learn your first song, because you're
Right.
drilling scales and you're doing all this theory and really getting down to the nitty gritty. And most people don't even want to play at that level. So no, it's not Mary Had a Little Lamb, but it's also not, you're not going to be a concert pianist after 21 days.
Sure.
It's somewhere in the middle. What I say is I teach competency. So if you have a piano and you want to be able to sit down and it sounds like you actually might know what you're doing, then yes, I can teach you that in 21 days if you put in the work.
Do they see you when they're doing this tutorial, or is it, are you showing them stuff like a YouTube video, or is it more digital than that? And
It's a classic online course. So all of my customers, my students, have a username and password. They log into the site, and all the lessons are there for them to go through it as quickly or as slowly as they want to. And each lesson has my hands on the keyboard as
Okay.
one camera angle, and then me as the other camera angle. And I have this Guitar Hero style effect where the notes are coming down, so you can see what I'm playing, and you can kind of try to follow along as well. So I try to make it as interactive as possible without me actually being live with the student.
without being live. And then you set up the cameras in your studio and had somebody film it?
I did it all myself. Yeah, I've re-recorded my course 4 times as I get better at teaching, and also I get better equipment, and things like that. And so now I feel like my course is really dialed in, and it's helped a lot of people, and pretty proud of it at this point.
So y'all are I know you're moving around more, Stephanie, and getting out, but I mean, y'all are teaching individual students, and that's very rewarding and fun. But how do you scale up and do this so that you can really make a lot of money? Unless you're charging people tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, I think online courses is a great way to scale
Yeah.
because my audience is literally global right now. And once I make a sale, there's almost nothing that I have to do.
Just less energy for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very scalable. And,
We will be talking to Jacques after this to help us with it. I've already let him know that.
Yeah.
To help us move
Awesome.
into that arena, because that is where the industry is going, to be able to allow people to have more access and with their own schedules. Because as we know, the traffic is so bad, and having to bus your kids is hard enough. And I know you said your group, you're more focused on adults who probably
Right.
always wanted to play piano.
Right.
And now they're like, man, I wish I'd have done that. They can do it, and that's genius.
Have y'all done any online tutorials?
We have not at this time, and that is, we work with Dobie Media Productions here in Baton Rouge for all of
Okay.
our videoing, and we have talked to them about moving into that. I believe in, and especially for what we do, I feel like in the same class and being able to interact with the kids and is such a valuable thing. I'm not saying that because there are kids who really do work well online. I would have not been one of those kids because I would have gotten distracted very easily and that kind of thing. But there are some people that's so ideal for.
Right.
I think there's such a value in it.
There's ways you can have the online non-live component and also have a live component too. All of my students are free to email me at any time if they have any problems or questions. But there's also a package that I offer that includes live, like Skype sessions as
Right.
well.
With you?
With me, one-on-one.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And depending on what you're teaching, that could be even more important. With my course, people are typically, that's for most people good enough. But if you're teaching something else, it sounds like in your case, they may need a little more interaction, and accountability
Right.
is part of it too.
For sure. And there are ways that you can build that in, to your lessons. So by taking short, because I've taken online courses now.
Right.
And I've learned a lot, from them. But there are ways that you can build in that accountability. But I really do like some of the programs who are allowing kids to do some of the work online and then coming in
I think
to the
that's like
classroom.
the perfect sort of model. Yeah, mix.
Yeah, and I
Mix.
think that's great. And so that's definitely, there's value in all of it.
Absolutely.
And how you can integrate it in all areas, and distance. Because we do have, believe it or not, people who call us and say, well, we're in, Texas, or we're here, and we've heard about you from a family member. Do you do this, remotely? And we're not there yet. And I'd like to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, we are. But I don't know anything about the platforms, and that's all something I would have to learn.
I'm Stephanie Riegel. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm talking to Stephanie Crawford of Best in Class Tutoring and Jacques Hopkins of pianoin21days.com. We'll be right back after this very short break. I'm Stephanie Riegel. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm talking to Stephanie Crawford of Best in Class Tutoring and Jacques Hopkins of pianoin21days.com. Jacques, how many people stay with you longer than 21 days?
Almost everybody.
They do. They
Yeah.
continue on.
Yeah, I mean, the piano in 21 days part is almost just like the part of the marketing,
They come on.
But in reality, people have families, they have jobs, and they can't get to it every single day. So the way my course works is you pay a one-time fee, you get lifetime access.
Wow.
So it's
Oh,
very
lifetime, that's
rare,
great.
right? So it's very rare that people actually log in for 21 days and then they're done, never need it again. And
Okay.
even if you do, they like to be able to come back and review the material as well, maybe a couple years down the road.
Sure.
That's
sure.
great.
What is the competition like out there? Who else is doing? You said you're alone in the online space there,
No,
Jacques?
no,
There are
no,
lots
no.
of people teaching piano online.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I started 5 years ago, and there was probably 10 competitors, and now there's hundreds.
Hundreds, wow.
You've got to set yourself up apart, especially with something as popular as piano, or I'm sure ACT prep is pretty popular. But if you have a really niche down thing, like if I was teaching harmonica or the mandolin or something, right? There's
French
much less
horn.
competition, but there's also much less demand as well.
Sure.
Everybody wants to learn how to play piano, which is great. And so I just need to figure out the best ways to differentiate myself from the competition.
And which was going to be my next question, but I'm also curious, how do you protect your product there and keep other people from stealing it?
Well, I think that can be an issue. The one piece of advice there I've had is just make sure your logos are on all your videos. So if somebody does take it, you still have your branding on it.
Oh, that's great, of course. And what about you, Stephanie? There is a lot. I know there's a lot of competition.
There's a lot of competition out there. When I initially started this, it wasn't for me to even be in that realm. You know, we found ourselves in that realm because our product works, which is amazing. You know, and so I think what's different with us is that I am able to take from all of the best strategies that are out there, from all the different, you know, strategists. Like, we don't work for Princeton. We don't work just strictly for like a mastery prep or, yeah, you know, we're able to pull from many different, you know, areas. And that helps us because we are locally owned and operated. And what I work with students, I can make it for them, and I don't have a contract signed, or I'm not with a franchise that just has to use this particular you know, strategy in this book, and so that's nice. But I think there are a lot of programs out there who, and I teach the program, so I do all the ACT prep, and you know, a lot of the programs that are out there now, our competitors are the franchises, which are Sylvan and Princeton, and they just pull from their strategies, and they aren't the people who actually came up with them. They're people that they hire to teach it. So that puts us a little bit, you know, above our competition. I'm always learning about, you know, the new strategies that are out there from the best of the best, and finding out, you know, how the ACT is changing content-wise, and I think that helps us with an edge. But there are a lot of just independent tutors and that are out there for ACT and just regular prep. You know what I mean? And
or any kind of tutoring,
any tutoring, right?
Sure.
So that is a competitor, essentially. But I always tell parents, anytime, and I find this a lot, which is kind of the downside of what we do, you know, we don't really have anybody that regulates, you know, the tutoring business. And so anyone could, you know, say, hey, I can tutor ACT, and they just go and buy the book, you know, the ACT book. So I always ask parents, you know, when they're trying to make a decision, I'm like, look, this is my training, this is what I do. When you go, and I always encourage them to go and talk to others, you know, and they may find a better fit for their student, but ask them what their training is, because they're not required to have any kind of real training to say that they can do it. So we're, you know, we are members of the National Tutoring Association. You know, we are constantly bettering ourselves because the industry does change. And so sometimes you can get people who aren't privy to that. So I feel like as long as your product is good and you're seeing results, then you can kind of out-edge your competition, which is very different than yours.
Along those lines, and I'm curious what you think about this, Stephanie, but testimonials are huge. Because if you have great testimonials for your business, I mean, when somebody wants to go learn something, they don't want you, like, they don't want to be the dummy subject.
Yep.
They want to go to somebody who's taught somebody in your shoes and has shown results. So like for me, I have tons of videos on my website of my students who couldn't play piano before, and the video is them at their piano playing their piano. And so for you, if you have testimonials of parents saying, yeah, my kid was struggling to get scores, but I went through this program, and now, you know, they raised their score 6 points or whatever, and I'm sure you have that.
We do. And we just did a big campaign because, you know, we kind of played catch up after we were, you know, we had such great growth. You know, because our program has really worked, and I'm so thankful. And we just got finished. Like I said, we work with Adobe Media Productions, and we were able to get live testimonials from our students and our parents. And yeah, I mean, as we know, like, it's a little different with you because you're online for referrals, right? But that really is the basis of your business.
And how do you all push those testimonials out and make sure people see them and see your website, for instance, Jacques? How do you advertise and market and get the word out there?
That's a lot of questions. So almost everything that I can automate, I do in my business. So about a month or two after somebody signs up, they get a request for a testimonial. You know, automatically. I don't have to do anything there. And so certainly not everybody does that. It's a very low percentage, but if everybody who signs up gets that, then I'll get a slow trickle of testimonials coming back through. In terms of marketing, I mentioned starting a YouTube channel when I first started out. That's one of my biggest traffic drivers. But I also do a lot of paid advertising.
You do.
Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Bing ads, Instagram. I have to
And
be
SEO, I mean, are you
But
very
you're
skilled in
you
that?
can be international. So
I
you're
am international,
right.
yes.
So you're able to plug in that way, and
It's been good because,
Good for you.
my most profitable platform would be Google AdWords because people are actively searching for what I have to offer. They're
Google
searching
AdWords,
for,
you said, are the most, that's the best.
That's the
most
best for my business, and
Mm-hmm.
what that is the ads that show up at the top of Google results.
Okay.
Because people are actively searching for what I have to offer. They go to Google, they say, how do I play piano? Like, what's the
Gotcha.
best way to play piano? And I can be at the very top of that result, and I just have to pay a little bit, and people get into my marketing funnel from
And
there.
what's a little
Right.
bit, just for instance,
You
relevant?
pay about $1 or $2 per click.
Okay.
And it ranges greatly on the industry. That I should say, I'm paying about $1 or $2
Right.
per click.
Yeah.
right.
And how you at the top of Google, like worldwide, or
It depends on the search.
You
It
might
depends
be.
on the search. Yeah, it's how to play piano. That search term, how to play piano, is way more competitive than I want to learn how to play piano really fast or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And so I probably appear right at the top for that second one, but the first one is way more competitive, and I have just tons of competitors. There's an app called Musician, which has 200 employees and is like $1 billion company.
Oh my goodness.
How many employees do you have?
Well, I don't have any full-time employees, but I have 9 part-time contractors.
Yeah,
Okay.
subcontractors.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
and then you use tutors to help you tutor, right? You have
Absolutely.
how many
We have two-
part time? How many
Yeah,
employees
we
do you have, Stephanie?
we have one full-time employee who's my assistant, and then we have 22 tutors on staff that are subcontracted. And so.
And how do you make sure that they are up
yeah.
to your standards
Oh, we do.
and
We-
as effective as you are, for instance?
When I was at LSU, I went as a teacher, and whenever I got into more administrative side of it, I was like, why? I mean, this is not what I want to do. I want to be, in front of the kids and with the tutors, and I really loved my time there. But, hindsight, now I'm like, oh my gosh, it taught me so much about how to interview and, how to pick and vet and make sure that you're choosing, the best tutors for your students. And so the way we do that is we have very high standards for our tutors. All of our tutors have their degrees. The ones that work with our lower school kids, which we consider, kindergarten or pre-K through 7th grade, typically,
Yeah.
sometimes 8th grade, are with certified teachers. And everything we do is one-on-one. It's specialized for the student when it's tutoring. And then for our high school, because when you get into high school, it's more about chemistries and algebra and,
Right.
So we have our tutors who are engineers, math, PhD students. I get a lot of tutors who are working on postgraduate work, or they have just finished it and they're kind of deciding what they want to do with it. And so we have a 3.0 and above requirement for GPA. We have to have at least a year of successful documented teaching or tutoring. And then just getting them in there and meeting them and just kind of getting a feel for who they are
Sure.
as a person. Now, I have had hired some tutors before who haven't been a good fit. And I tell parents all the time I believe in quality, not quantity. So sometimes they may call and need a tutor for econ, because we also do college. And I say we just don't have it right now. And we have a lot of tutors who would love to work for us, which I'm very thankful for, but some of them just aren't a good fit for us.
Right.
And so if we don't have a class that we can offer at that time, I don't just try to go and grab somebody and say, can you do this, right? So they have to kind of go through our system of of vetting. And so but we're very thankful when we do, and they usually stay with us a long time.
Have y'all had to go out to market financing to try to grow and expand, or are you not to that place yet, Jacques?
We're there.
Y'all are there.
But I'm a teacher, so I had to teach myself the business aspect of it. I've done a lot of reading and research, and thankfully I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, so I was able to kind of reach out to them and get some advice and help. However, I'm a teacher.
Right.
So I kind of, been told no a lot, and just kind of found ways. But we were able to get a small business loan last year to help us,
So conventional financing. Well, that was lucky.
Yeah, we were really lucky, and so we're doing that. But yeah, I mean, on our radar is, we have on our radar to expand, and we're currently working with a company that is privy to helping small businesses like mine expand. But
And how big do y'all want to get, Jacques? What are your expansion and growth plans?
Well, I got started with a $10 domain name and a webcam on my computer, so my
awesome.
expenses were extremely low, and I was able to, once I started making sales, then I could start spending money. I didn't start advertising right at the beginning. I started paying for advertising once my company had brought in the money to pay for that. So everything is very automated at this point. I don't have to do a lot with Piano in 21 Days. One thing I do every day is, for the people that signed up for my course the day before, I'll send them like a 30-second personalized video just welcoming them to the course, telling them how excited I am for them and that I'm here for them if they need anything. Other than that, I have to do pretty much nothing.
You have a podcast also?
Yeah, I do. So the way I spend the rest of my time is just helping others kind of do what I did and taking something that they're passionate about and turning that into an online course. Because a lot of people
we will be
have this thing. Yeah, everybody has passions and hobbies and everything, and with the internet, it's just amazing what you can do. I'm just fascinated every day by the fact that there's people in Australia and New Zealand, and I sold a course to somebody in Jerusalem the other day. It's like these
really
people
cool.
all over the world are learning piano from me. That's just, if you would have told me that when I was growing up struggling with my piano lessons, that would just be insane.
Isn't that great? How
That
kind
is
of life
so
works that way.
great. And so now you're teaching people how to teach people on the internet and build online businesses. And are you able to monetize your podcast, or is it just good branding?
It's
for
just
you?
good branding. Yeah, I actually do have a course on how to make a course. And so that's, it's kind of meta there, but that's
awesome.
that's my focus these days, because I don't have to spend as much time with Piano in 21 Days. And I just looked and said, okay, what am I passionate about now? And
that kind of gives you more room to be able to do that, which is really cool, which is very, very cool, because I wish I had my hand in about 10 different things, but because it interests me, but I can't,
Well, I
love what I'm doing. So
I wish we had more time to continue visiting with y'all, because y'all have such wonderful stories and so much energy, and so it's great to see so much passion and so many great ideas in the Baton Rouge marketplace. Jacques Hopkins and Stephanie Crawford, thank you all so much for sharing your stories and being with me today on Out to Lunch.
Thank you.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Jacques Hopkins of pianoin21days.com and Stephanie Crawford of Best in Class Tutoring. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti. And our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. You can see photos from this show on itsbatonrouge.la and on our It's Baton Rouge Facebook page. These photos were taken by Karry Hosford. You can see more of Karry's beautiful photos at karryhosford.com. You can hear this show and past episodes of Out to Lunch wherever you get podcasts and at itsbatonrouge.la. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansurs for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch is recorded live over lunch at Mansurs on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansurs is open for lunch daily from 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. Mitchell's music is available wherever great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. And by Shewart & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And by Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.